He has no feet of clay, nor he's a clay pigeon. He clays up his own world, magnets and badigeon. Since 30 years or so, his films are on display, on which we love and love. We love to hit replay. He animates the world, and this is no child's play. He is a director, several awards winner. Welcome, Adam Elliot, the great clayographer.
Thank you, Alexis. I love that poem, by the way.
Well, it's yours, actually.
You could come and help me write my next film. I love poetry.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
We're gonna.
It's on camera. Yes.
It's on camera. I've got a contract. Thank you very much, Adam. Well, you are here in Annecy's Animation Film Festival for your last feature film in competition here, Memoir of a Snail. But actually, you've been in Annecy many times before.
Yes.
Can you recall your first time in?
Yes, the first time I came to Annecy was 1997, and it was with my student film Uncle, and it was a 6-minute claymation, and I didn't know what Annecy was. I just got into the festival and flew all the way from Australia, and I got here and I realised how much I was missing out on in Australia, because the animation community in Australia is very small, and suddenly I felt validated. I felt like here in Annecy were like-minded people, and I think I'd rarely met another stop-motion animator. So when I came here, there was lots of stop-motion animators, and that was when I met Peter Lord from Aardman Animation, who'd seen my short and liked it and encouraged me to keep going. So I got addicted back in 1997, and this is, I think, my 6th time to Annecy. I've come here with every film except for one. I was sick and I couldn't come. So I love coming back here. And the festival has grown so much now. And I knew when I first started making stop motion films that I was told that I was pursuing a dying art form and that stop motion was going to die and computer animation was going to take over the world. And it's the complete opposite has happened. Stop motion is going through a wonderful renaissance, and which is good for me because I can't do computer animation. It's not that there's anything wrong with computer animation. I get very bored sitting in front of a screen all day. Yeah.
You mentioned 97, but indeed there was 99, 2003, and many times after that. Mm-hmm. How obsessed are you with Annecy and its amazing audience?
Well, I think the audiences, of course, are very appreciative of the art form, and they're very encouraging. And it's almost it's a very safe space here in Annecy. And today was the first screening of my film anywhere in the world. It was its world.
The very first.
Yes. So I was very nervous a few hours ago. But they liked the film, which is great. And now I have to take the film back to Australia and show it to an Australian audience. And they're far more, serious and sceptical and harder to please. But Annecy for me is like a second home. It's where I come to catch up with friends as well and meet all these wonderful people from Mexico and Estonia and countries I wouldn't normally get to visit. And they're all here in one place. It's a one-stop shop.
It's like a family reunion.
Yeah. Because as I said, animation is it's a small industry in Australia, and here you feel validated. And on this trip too, I've brought over about a dozen of my crew with me, and a lot of them are young, emerging filmmakers. And one of them, I can just see her looking around. She can't believe she's here, and she can't believe she gets to meet some people from Aardman Animation. And so it's been amazing to watch the young emerging crew that I've got enjoy Annecy for the first time.
So this is, your obsession for Annecy. Let's talk about obsession also in animation. You said that you are obsessed with clay, of course, and animation purposes. Is it mandatory to be obsessed to do animation?
I think to be a stop-motion animator, you have to have a certain mentality, and you have to enjoy loneliness and being alone in the dark with your characters. And I think the best animators or the best stop motion animators are certainly the ones who are obsessive and have a very good focus and sharp focus and attention to detail. They're slightly different to other types of animators, I think. They tend to be more introverted and quiet, and a lot of the crew that I've worked to have also been on the spectrum, and so I've employed a lot of people with Asperger's and autism, and I find them the best employees because they have the best work ethic. They turn up on time. They're always there, and yeah, they're obsessed.
Very focused.
Very
I guess.
focused. Yeah.
Your focus, your obsession, came up with clay at the Victorian College of the Arts when you were a student,
Yes.
actually, and you were exploring all kinds of animation, all that was available at the time, because there are many new techniques now. And this is a tear on a clown's face
Yes.
that made you realize that you wanted to realize.
Absolutely,
to direct.
yeah. The very first thing I animated was a 2D, one of my drawings of a clown, because my father was an acrobatic clown. And so I'd always drawn my whole life. And then I just animated a little tear coming down the clown's cheek. It wasn't very well animated, it was badly animated. But when I saw my character come to life, I realized, ooh, actually, I get to play God. I can make my characters do whatever I want. And so I had never realized that my character's coming to life. And that was just 2D, but coming to life as a 3D object. It was the perfect vehicle for telling a story. And I've had a lot of people ask me, why don't I do live action, direct real actors? And I don't want to. I said, no, stop motion. We have far more creative control and creative freedom. We are megalomaniacs. We can, we can play God. It's very egotistical and, self-indulgent. But yeah, I love stop motion. It's alive and well, as I said.
And although you realized you could play God, you decided that your subject matters would be underdogs, misfits, and other real-life impeachments. How and why did this, or does this tragic and melancholic poetry come perfectly to life with you?
Well, I knew very quickly when I started animating that I didn't want to do fantasy, I didn't want to do talking animals. I felt there was already a lot of that, and I knew very early that I wanted to do adult animation and deal with challenging subject matters. And I remember someone said to me, the best way of writing a story to find interesting characters is just to look around your family and friends. There's usually somebody really eccentric, or it could be an uncle or a cousin and a brother. And so that's what I did. I just started looking around my family. I thought, well, actually, I've got lots of material. Just, I almost don't have to invent anything. So, and I'm much more interested in the underdog and people who are marginalised and people who are perceived as different. I don't use the word disability. I don't see my characters as being disabled. I just see them as people who are misunderstood, or, their stories are just as worthy to be told as someone else. And I've never run out of characters to tell stories about. I've got at least another 20 films I could make with people I know.
And how did the uncle, brother, or cousin react to this kind of confession?
Well, I must admit, my family are always very nervous when I finished a film. I don't let any of my family read any of my scripts. So my mother still hasn't seen the film yet, and this new film is based a little bit on her. I always say they're not documentaries, they're certainly fictional, and, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. I embellish and I exaggerate. And again, exaggeration is another wonderful thing that you can do with animation. You can stretch a character's face to heighten the emotion. So, yeah, look, uncle, cousin and brother, I could have kept going with them, and I decided to do a trilogy of trilogies. So I wanted to do 3 shorts, 3 long shorts and 3 features. So I've only got 2 to go, and then I can die.
Well, let's keep you on this earth playing God a little, please. Can Can we talk about your own specific physiologic condition and how it carve and define your style and your character's choice?
Sure. Well, I inherited from my mother a physiological tremor, so I shake, and my whole body, not just my hands, but my whole body is always shaking a little bit. My grandfather had exactly the same thing, and it goes down through the family. My siblings don't have it. And when I was drawing as a child, my lines were always wobbly, and I'd often grip my hand to help, keep my lines straight. And then I gave up. I thought, oh, just wobbly lines. Everything will be wobbly. And so when I started animating, the characters I was sculpting were very asymmetrical and, lumpy. And I thought, instead of trying to refine them, let's just celebrate the lumpiness. Let's celebrate the asymmetry. And because I'm telling stories about characters whose lives are imperfect, so why shouldn't they look imperfect as well? So it's weird, but my whole career now is striving for imperfection, not perfection.
Actually,
which is very hard to do.
That's what God does, making us imperfect.
Yeah, we're all flawed. We all have an imperfection, and I think I've finally worked out what all my films are about. Is that I'm really trying to tell people to embrace their own imperfections and also other people's. So it's all about empathy. I want the audience to empathise with my characters, and I use that word a lot, particularly to students. I say empathy. If you can get the audience to empathise, then you're halfway there. Yeah.
Speaking about the audience, we were going to talk about Annecy's audience and what happened here in Anesi Theatre a moment ago.
Yes. Were you there?
In the beginning and not at the end, because I was here waiting for you. But I heard about it.
It was very traumatic. I didn't know where to look. I saw a wonderful film last night, the opening night film,
The Most Precious Cargo.
And it's now one of my favourite films because it had such an emotional impact on me, and being there with the audience and seeing the appreciation at the end when the audience all stood up and gave this standing ovation, and I thought, oh, wow, that's, this is why we make films. We make films to connect and move people. And I kept thinking, gee, I hope I can do that tomorrow. I hope I can get the same reaction, because I've been making this film for 8 years. And if the audience are indifferent or apathetic, then I feel like I've failed. So at the end, it was very humbling, and it was actually really good for the crew and the younger members, who I could see in the audience very visibly moved and crying, and so I felt great for them. I felt like I couldn't escape either. And it's like, stop clapping so I can go to the toilet because I haven't been, So it's an experience I'll never forget. If all the other audiences from this point on are like the one here at Annecy, which I don't think they will be. I think Annecy's a different audience to anywhere else in the world. But it was lovely. Yeah.
You revealed a very intimate technical detail to this audience. That's more than clay, wire, paints and magnets. You also used sex lubricant. Is that right?
Oh, use what? Sorry?
Sex lubricant.
Sex lubricant. Yeah, we went through a lot. Sometimes we use it for the tears, but mostly for the water. So running, there's a dam or a lake, and so we squeeze lots of sexual lubricant. So we had many trips to the pharmacy to.
Did they ask you questions?
Yes. Yeah, we had our runner. Do you have runners in France?
Yes.
The people who run and get coffee for people. Our runner was always going to the supermarket and the pharmacy with all this lubricant, and I don't know what.
He must have explained once.
She said, "Oh, it's for a film," and they said, "Oh, a film? Oh, okay." She said, "No, for little people," and they said, "Well, for dwarfs."
What?
No, it's for puppets. So, yeah. I wish we could find something that was as. Oh, sometimes hair gel's not bad as well, and cling film,
yes.
that clear cling film, that's sometimes good for water. We use all sorts of materials. Yeah.
How does it feel to work with such techniques, such touch, in a world dreaming of artificial intelligence and automated technology?
Well, at the end of the credits, I put in a line that says, "This film was made by human beings." And I'd heard an actor in America say that, with the writers' strike last year in Hollywood, and in actors' clauses in their contracts now, it says this performance was performed by a human being. And that really struck a chord, and I thought, well, we're living in a moment in time where AI, we're all scared of what the future holds with AI, and already, I heard a horrible statistic that in China, there's a huge percentage of illustrators are already out of work because AI illustration has come in. It's so much cheaper. So it's a little bit terrifying, but my hunch is that, handmade art forms like stop motion will survive because there is an appreciation, and who knows?
And the flawlessness, the imperfection that AI is trying to wipe out of our minds.
Yes, yeah. I think AI is going to be good for some things, but I think it should just leave artists alone. Poets, AI can write poetry. Poets are already struggling enough without the worry of AI taking over. You don't ever hear the two words billionaire poet. So, leave poets alone. I want AI to do other things like, my washing and my,
And my organizing the planning or...
it'll be great.
Machine stuff.
Like yeah. Not art, no.
Having low budgets, you were talking about this too, pushes you to the most of your creativity, your inventivity.
Yes.
As is real life, is this the only path to self-transcendence, to be limited in some ways?
I think so. I think it certainly helps. I mean, I've always wanted bigger budgets. I always want to pay my crew more than I can afford to. But I think, having low budgets forces you to think laterally, and you tend to be more inventive and come up with solutions. And for example, walking, of course, is very slow and complicated. So we decided on my new film to just have the characters walk like that, like the Muppets, so you never see their legs, just because it saves time, and also using voiceover a lot. I mean, I don't like having to use voiceover and narration too much. It gets unbearable, but we have to because it helps save time and money, So with every film, I think I'd like to do something with a bigger, proper budget, and then, it's so hard to make adult, financing adult animation is very difficult, particularly in claymation. It'd be a lot easier if I did a children's TV series, or not that they're easy to finance, but there's a bigger market for children's animation than adult claymation. Yeah.
If you had one advice for this new generation of animators that are drawn to technology and also drawn to self-transcendence and maybe self-reveal, what would you say to them?
I always give one bit of advice to all animators, and is to not obsess with the technology and the animation, but to focus on the script and the story. Because I remember my animation lecturer back in 1996, at the beginning of the one-year course, she said to us, an audience will always forgive bad acting, bad editing, bad lighting, bad animating, but they'll never forgive a bad story. So focus on the story, and the audience will forgive the rest. Yeah.
Maybe that will be my last question, but what is the next story of yours that will bring you back to Annecy?
Well, as I said earlier, I've still got to make 2 more films before I die. And I think my next feature, I feel, is going to be a road film. I don't know much more than that. I want a character who goes on a very long road trip. That's all I know.
We are really, really impatient to know with you.
15 years. Yeah, the last one took 15 years.
Okay, so, well, maybe you'll come back before. Just for the family reunion.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you very much, Adam. It was a real pleasure, and we will look forward to your next projects, your next presence, and whatever comes from you.
Thank you, Alexis. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.